is going on, everybody? Welcome in to the North End Podcast, episode 223. My name is Zach Graham, your host here in the North End, joined, as always, by my good buddy. He's on record as my best friend. His name is Ian Michaud, and we call him... Sitting here on a Sunday, beautiful Austin, Texas, at least for a couple more days. We are going into the hellfires of summer come Wednesday night's match. But I'll ask you, as I always do, coming off a loss last night at the hands of FC Cincinnati, how you feeling, my friend?
Oh, I'm doing all right. It was a late night for sure. Frustrating watching that game. I think there's things to take away from it that are positive, but given where we're at right now, what we know is coming up, it doesn't really make me feel that much better, to be honest. And a difficult game last night that had a real opportunity to secure a point. And I think a good team does secure a point last night, and I just don't think we're a good team right now.
Yeah, it'd be hard to argue the opposite of that. But I think we're in a similar place where, like, there's definitely some positives. Or I think John Gallagher put it pretty well in his post-match interview where he said, like, the mood was more disappointment rather than anger coming out of that one. So we'll go through the FC Cincinnati match from Saturday evening. We will look ahead to Wednesday night's return to Q2 Stadium, Atlanta United coming to town for the first time. We will have last business day. FCito is in action out on the West Coast on Tuesday night, so we'll preview their match against Ventura County, and we'll have a little bit of the nonsense at the end of the episode as the May Marathon rolls on. But before we get into the rest of episode 223, just want to remind you all listening or watching on the YouTube channel that you can support the show financially by downloading the audio versions of our episodes wherever you get your podcasts. And wherever you get your podcasts, you can toggle on auto downloads, which will support the show going forward, and you don't have to think about it again. You can go the extra mile, rate and review the show wherever you get your podcast. And if you are watching on the YouTube channel, hitting the subscribe button also helps us grow the show, and you can hit the notification bell to know when a live stream pops up or a new episode goes live. And of course, here on episode 223, hit the thumbs up, like the video, help us battle the YouTube algorithm overlords, atone for your sins, wash yourselves clean in the waters of the North End. And as I'm going through that, I'm thinking still about John's comments there. And thinking back to our Thursday episode where we were coming off of a win and on paper, a pretty spectacular comeback win. But of course, the context surrounding it, I was more mad coming off that win than I am here today. So unless you have anything else, we can go ahead and just get right into this one.
No, I think that's a fair assessment. But yeah, let's get into this.
So no big news items between Thursday's episode and kickoff on Saturday. The one that we wanted to touch on was Irvin Torres getting his second short-term agreement of the season. So he came on loan with the first team, went on the trip up there to Cincy, was an unused substitute, but that's his second of the season. And with Danny still out and Robert Taylor, again, I don't think we have a concrete timeline established yet by the club, because there was no media availability between, late night Wednesday and having to get on a plane Friday morning. But we could very well see Irvin use his other two call-ups this week. And maybe by next Wednesday, I guess you wouldn't need it for Open Cup, but potentially by next Saturday when you go out to, goddamn, what is it after? At Minnesota, who just dubbed Inter Miami and Lionel Messi 4-1 yesterday. Yeah, maybe we got Irvin on a first-team deal by the time we go out to Minnesota.
Well, we're going to need all the help we can get. I don't know if that's a whole lot of help. No disrespect intended there. But yeah, like we said, this month was going to be a brutal month, and it has not started off well. And we need these guys back. I mean, I don't anticipate Robbie being ready for a while now. Hamstrings, soft tissue, stuff like that, difficult to gauge when you're actually going to be ready to go. And obviously you can't put any cardio in really with that type of stuff. So we're hurting right now, man. We're hurting.
Yep. Yeah, and of course, right, it's not just Taylor, it's Danny being out and Mikael Dessler.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, maybe we see Dessler on Wednesday on the bench, right? Like if he can get 10, 15 minutes out there, that would make me I think regardless of the result, right? If we drop this one on Wednesday, I'm going to be very, very concerned. But just seeing him actually active, because we were talking about post-game last night, just how important we think Mikael Dessler is to this team on both sides of the ball. And no disrespect to Johnny or anybody else who's been filling in for him, but he's just a class player in this league. And like I yelled at him like 2 weeks ago, we need your help, brother. So hopefully he's coming back soon.
I would love to see him on the bench come Wednesday. We'll see. And like, honestly, that would be the first positive update we've had from this little injury saga that he's got going on. But I mean, like, yes, let's talk about the injuries right now. You know, I mean, like they're there. Let's talk about it. FC Cincinnati at full strength is still better than us at full strength, in my opinion. But when you add into the recipe here, the flavors, no Danny, that hurts. Night in and night out starter, basically. No Dessler. That really hurts. Night in and night out starter. And somebody with Dessler who makes our offense just a little bit better. It just looks a little bit nicer when he's able to distribute. He knows how to move, get into space, and like create and pull defenders towards him, which then opens up things for some of our other players who need space right now and need to find ways to generate goals. And I thought, we're sitting there watching the game last night and we get the subs coming on, and I think we both just kind of turned to each other and just like, man, it would be really nice to have Robbie Taylor right now, because I think he could have made a big impact on that game last night with how poor the midfield looked outside of Owen Wolf once again, who is just a spectacular player. So we're in a tight spot, man. And I would love to see some Dessler action trending in the right direction.
Yeah. When we did get I was fairly surprised to see a 5-back when the lineup comes out last night. So you have Gallagher on the right, Svatak, Heinzike, Biru tucked in there kind of as that left center back, Kolmanich out there at left wing back. And when you were in possession, it was kind of 3-2 or 3-4-1-2, I guess, with Owen up there. Kolmanich and Gallagher were bombing up and down those wings. And both guys created at least one chance in front of net. One time, Kolmanich almost assisting John Gallagher, but Ilya, Sabovic, Owen Wolf, Mirtu Azuni, and Brandon Vasquez rounded out the lineup. Of course, Bradley Scott Stuver in net, who I know we'll talk about him, man. Brad Stuver was fucking fantastic last night, dude. Even giving up 2 goals, that was an awesome performance by him.
Incredible. I mean, neither of those goals anyone could have saved in the world.
Yeah,
I feel
especially
like.
the Evander one.
Yeah, there's not saving those. Those are just talented players putting shots past you. But yeah, he was fantastic. I liked the tinkering. I thought that this was, like Nico has said in the past, that he's going to adapt to the teams that we're playing. We knew that we were going to be outmatched talent-wise versus this team, and I thought it was a solid move. And just the limitations of who we have available right now to go to that 5-back is a bit concerning, because if you start all 3 of those center backs, then you don't really have a center back to replace anyone. I'm talking about bringing Julio in and potentially pushing Biru out and then Kolmanich to the bench. But I liked the approach, and I thought we came out and we looked pretty solid to start this game. And I did say on the last episode that I was going to really try to get some more clarity and perspective on the El Paso matchup, depending on how this team looked versus Cincinnati. And I thought that we looked like a team that deserved to be out there competing for a point last night. And that's a good thing. But like you said, and Johnny summed it up really well, very disappointing to not get a point last night and to play the way that we did and have opportunities to score some goals and just didn't come to fruition.
Yeah, and so going through the rewatch here on Sunday morning, I think I have as many notes here kind of in the rundown, from the first half hour of this match as I do from the final hour. Right off the rip, man, 15 seconds in, off of Stuver's long ball from the first whistle. That long ball comes down, pings off of Miazga to the foot of Ilya, who just hits it right back forward, where Owen has a cheeky little flick, into Mirtu Izuni, and I think his touch kind of betrays him a little bit in this moment as Miles Robinson, who again, Miles Robinson is, especially pre-injury, one of the best center backs, I think, in the U.S. pool. So Robinson tracks it down and clears it. But I also thought Mirtu, like, I expect him to be able to just rocket a shot off right there and not need that additional touch. Maybe he doesn't. He's clearly not confident in that right now.
That's what I was going to say. It comes back to a confidence thing. I think if he's feeling good about himself, he lets this one go, and we live with the results there because, again, this is an opportunity very early. I mean, the first possession of this game where it's like, okay, we have a chance again with our top players, the goal scoring threats that we have on this team to go ahead and try to get something on the board early. And, a poor touch. And that's really been the story of this season for these DPs. A poor touch here, a bad look at the net, a missed shot there, a really poor shot. Like, that's just been the story for these guys thus far. And we've been hoping and wondering if it's going to change. And I think we just have to keep hoping that it is going to come eventually.
Yeah. Well, and 2 minutes later, Austin out of the gates, like, clearly trying to play more direct, with this setup that they have here. And I think I said in the first 10 minutes with who we were watching with, I was like, man, like, this may not be the way that this team plays the best, once all is said and done this season, but I am much more aesthetically pleased by watching us really like lump these balls down the field and try to create these chances by also playing direct. And in this moment, like, one of those long balls comes from Sabovic, and Miazga tries to kind of nod it out to stop the break to the sideline, but John Kolmanich does a good job to keep this one in play here and drive forward. He plays it centrally for Owen. That ball gets deflected back to Sabovic, who slides it out to Galley on the right. And John whips across towards the back post a bit too far, but Kolmanich nods it back towards the scrum, bounces off two players right to the foot of BV, who tries to kind of quickly sweep it into the net. And Miazga, again, another very good center back in his own right, gets down for the block. But again, right off the rip, this is one of many chances in front of net that Brandon has, and this one is far from the worst that he took. I think it was a tough spot for him, and you credit the defender here. But again, even though this Cincy goal comes fairly early, like, it was competitive through this first 30 minutes.
Absolutely. We were right there with them every step of the way. And, like, yeah, this is a tight spot to be in. I wasn't really, there's not a whole lot of space, whole lot of angles for BV to get a good look here. But I was really satisfied with our ability to cross the ball and then head it back into the mix. I thought that there was several plays last night where we saw that, and I that was encouraging. I thought we were pretty solid in the air last night with those longer balls, the sweeping crosses that we had, just unable to get anything from them.
In 5th minute, Ilie takes the ball off Yuya Kubo near midfield, sends Brandon down that right side with a through ball, and as Vasquez gets to that right side of the penalty area, fires a cross in. Izuni and Kolmanich hadn't quite gotten there yet, and Miazga heads it clear. But that clearance drops right to Sabovic, I don't know, 3-4 yards outside the very top of the box. And I don't know if he's caught in between taking a shot and making a pass here, but he ends up just softly touching it out for a goal kick. Yeah. And I would much rather him, you talking about the confidence of the group, man, his confidence individually right now, it definitely didn't go up after his performance last night. But, like, in this moment, none of those other mistakes have happened yet. And at the beginning of the season, we saw this man smashing this ball towards net. And I would rather him continue to do that here rather than try to get too cute. Because in these first 5 minutes, the opening moments of this match, Cincy is on their heels.
Yes. Yep, absolutely. We're right up in their face. We're in their zone. We're in spaces like this with opportunities, and we all screamed, shoot it. Yeah, go have yourself one. And, like, that is the thing that I literally cannot figure out. It feels like the only guy who really, really wants to score is Guilherme. He's like the only guy who's like, give me my shot, give me my moment. I can do this. And all these other guys, man. And, like, Sabo has had plenty of games where you don't notice him this year, good or bad. You know what I mean? Like, you just don't notice him, but he's doing plenty of stuff. You noticed him last night, and it was in a really bad way. And, like, he stood out because poor. You know, he has the turnover later. He has a couple other situations where just really loose with the ball, poor passing and stuff like that. So he had a rough one, man. And like, this stuff is contagious. When people are down and the confidence is low, it spreads through the team. And it just looks like all of these guys are just seeing ghosts every now and then.
Yeah. Well, and since he does find their footing shortly after that, and then in the 12th minute, they've got a pretty long bout of possession here and end up kind of matriculating up that left side. Nice run into space by Kubo. And he turns Sabovic around, which like our defenders do in transition a couple times, especially when Evander and Denke are running at you. Like some of these guys don't know where they're at. But like Kubo loses control momentarily after he kind of turns Sabo around. And that allows Bessard to pretty much gain possession and then completely just flub it. Like I think he could have kept possession. He could have cleared it out. But as this ball comes loose again, Kubo runs back onto it, touches it to Engel, and Engel just pops it right. One times it to Evander, who's got all kinds of space. I tell you one thing, man, there are plenty of critiques of this coaching staff that have been flying already since the final whistle last night and will continue to until the fucking results turn around. I guarantee you the coaching staff did not have on the scouting report, hey, let's not mark Evander at the top of the box. And like, Ilie's slow on the uptake here. Svatak tries, but Santos is right in his way, just blocks his path to get there quick enough. And when that ball comes to Evander, you remember what I said? Oh, boy.
Yeah, I think I just said that's going to be a goal. Yeah. Like, that's a layup for him. He can do that in his fucking sleep. And like, Ilie's slow on it, and I understand on the rewatch you see sees Sabo get the ball, and like Sabo has time and space, and he's like, okay, well, we're gonna start moving this way now. So he stops. Unfortunate, obviously, that Svatak gets stuck behind Santos and just kind of like picked in this situation. But you give that dude who, I mean, I think he's probably the second best player in the league right now behind just Messi, you know, like that. That's
he was last year too, in my opinion.
Yeah, exactly. Like this guy is as good as they come in this league, and you give him this space. And we talked about it all on the preview. Like this dude can score from anywhere. He can shoot from anywhere. He shoots this one. Oh my God. The ball he plays in the second half is just fantastic. He's a very, very, very good player, and the type of production that you need out of your DPs to be a good team in this league. And he's one of the best.
Well, after the goal, man, this game for about 10 minutes really, really opens up. Like both teams get chances here, but it is majority Cincy momentum for me, at least here. Because in the 15th, they're right back to work. Engel to Santos, who touches it right to Evander, and then he slips Denke in, who got a step over the face of Svatak, which again, everybody was getting their turn with that 1-2 combo last night. Just putting some of our guys in the blender, and Stuver gets down for a big save. And Denke, we know Denke can do way better than that. You got a little bit lucky that the shot wasn't better because he just hit it right at Stuver, and Stuver did his job.
Yeah, no, I was going to say Denke definitely wants that one back. And, you know, he's a stout physical striker, man. And like once he gets that hip on you, you're not going to be able to get back into space to stop him. So like did get lucky here because we've seen him do better. He's got 6 goals, 4 match-winning goals this season already, I believe.
I mean, he's Denke. I said it last night. Denke is the Charizard to Musa Jite's Charmander. Yeah, like he is the final form. Yeah, like this guy, he's a monster. 2 minutes later, Austin's playing out of the back here, and this may be the lowest Stuver moment of the night for me. I think he puts Brennan Heinzike in a very tough spot with this outlet pass right to the top of our own box, and Pablo Buca's bearing down on BHI, like kind of takes it off him, and I think we get a little bit of a desperate deflection there from Brendan trying to win it back, and like. Then that ball trickles into the midfield, defensive midfield, and Owen wins it, tapping it to Sabovic. And now all of a sudden we've got a 6-on-5. Like, okay, this worked out. That ball gets slid out to Gallagher on the right, and he plays first time, perfect ball right to the foot of Brandon Vasquez. And he scuffs this one straight out, man. This to me has to be a goal, but at the very least has to be on frame. And I know that Brandon fucking Vasquez knows that. But
Yeah.
like in this moment, these are the chances where, like, especially on the road against a team like this, you're not going to get much. But this team continues to, most of these games, generate 2 or 3 legitimate goal scoring chances, and it's just not coming off right now. Like, this is over. I think it's like 0.53 XG on Opta's model, which again, XG, especially in just a one-shot sample size, doesn't tell you the whole story. But like this, the spot that Brandon is in here, it should be 1-1.
Yeah, it's a backbreaker, man. It hurt to see it, you know, and like he's better than that. We know all these guys are better than what they're giving right now. And like I cannot figure it out for the life of me. We can talk XG, we can talk tactics, we can talk this, but just like you said, we get 1, 2, 3 legitimate goal scoring chances with the guys that we paid to score goals, and it is just not going into the back of the net. And like this wasn't as bad as the Buka shot from the other night, in my opinion, but this is awful. This is terrible. It has to be on frame. And like, if we're going to be this team where it's like, we only get 1 to 2 really good looks every game, then you have to convert at a higher rate. It just has to happen. Otherwise you're just behind the 8 ball every single game. And like, you know, they score the first goal and I go, well, this might be over. Like, because it has been.
Well, I don't think we have in the ASA XG database. I don't think we have last night's games uploaded into that quite yet. But even like coming into this match, to highlight how poor we've been finishing those big chances, like this model expects you to finish 53% of your great XG shots, right? Like the top of the top. This is one of them. We're converting 44%, which is not crazy because there's not a ton of those chances, right? That is one chance here or there hits the back of the net. You're right on that line, but you're good XG shots, right? 23% expected like goal rate on those. We're at 5.9% coming into last night, and that number did not go up.
No.
So even your average XG shots, dude, 9% expected conversion rate, no goals, 0%.
Wow.
And that's coming into last night where you only get the PK goal. So, like, again, like, that's where, like, when we get to the end of this game, you start talking about the blame pie. We'll talk about that further. But, like, the players have a slice.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
It's up to the individual, I guess, to determine like how big that slice is. But you just
it is baffling. I just don't. I literally cannot figure it out because to start this season, we said we might not be great, but we're gonna score a lot of goals and it's gonna be fun,
right?
And now we're 12 games in and we're sitting on 8 goals.
Yeah,
and
not good, not scoring.
It is unbelievable, and like those numbers really highlight how poor it's been in these situations where we have guys with opportunities, and if it continues like this, you're not good. You're just not a good team. That's what it is. You have to score goals in this game.
2 minutes later, you get a long changing ball from Engel, left to right. That gets kicked right back to the middle of the park by Kolmanich. I thought he could have just brought this down. There's nobody around. Like, we could just have possession here, brother. And he kicks this right into the path of, again, the best, best non-Messi player in the league, who hits it first time because Stuver's slightly off his line. He's like, wow, 30 yards out, maybe further. And that pings off the post. Lucky as shit, man. And Santos tries to put it back home, and Biru luckily able to get back and block it out for a corner. And that corner gets cleared, I think, on a second corner. I think they get another one off that near post deflection. But like, Jesus, dude, like, and this, there were a couple moments last night, and this is a big one, where this is why I have never had confidence in Jan Kolmanich being a consistent starter for this team, because he's not an above average defender, and the decision making in this moment is not up to par. And after the Evander shot, I know it's human nature to slow down, especially with that guy shooting like that, to just watch that beautiful ball go in. Yeah. But who reacts to save our ass on the rebound? It's Biru. It's not Kolmanich, who's standing there fucking watching, man. So again, like, maybe in the past, and maybe in this moment I'm nitpicking because it's easy to bag on Jean here, but I just don't think that you're going into the film room today and as a coaching staff and being like, oh yeah, you did everything right on that play.
Yeah.
Like, and of course there's breakdowns when you get scored on or when a big chance like that happens, but that's just not, I don't think he put anything on film last night. Because again, you and I we don't watch a ton of soccer in general, but we have watched maybe the most Austin FC. We're top 1% of fans in terms of, we watch every game twice at least.
Yep.
And I would love somebody to send me clips that could prove that John Kolmanich is at least an average MLS defender. I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it.
I have not seen it either. And just the decision making here to be like, I'm not going to bring this ball down. I'm going to do a jumping kick with my right foot. And even if Evander's not standing in the middle of the park right there, you still don't want to do that because that ball's even, I don't even know who he was trying to get this pass to because it's not even close. And then, dude, you get incredibly lucky that this doesn't hit the inside of the bar and go in because there's absolutely nothing Stuver can do with this. Let's just talk about the shot in general. Holy shit. This would have been one of the greatest goals I've ever seen in my entire life. Just absolutely stunning. The guy is incredible. I'll stop glazing him as much as I can, but I will glaze him later with the assist because
we love Evander. We love Evander. Just not when he plays against our favorite fucking team.
But you went in on Kolmanich there, and I'm going to save mine for the second goal. But I'm right there with you.
Yeah. 21st minute, Kubo takes it off Sabovic here. Turns, pings it right to Denke, and now we've got the two-man combo coming at us with Denke and Evander, and Denke pulls up from deep in this moment. Stuver has to punch it away. Again, Stuver doing his job, and certainly far from the toughest save he has to make on the night. Multiple saves that were tougher than that, but again, he's man, where would we be without Bradley?
We talked about it after the Minnesota match, where it was like he had his horrible half, and this is what happens to the team when he does not play well. You lose 3-0, you get blown out at home. But last night, there's not a bad thing you could say about him outside of that BHI pass where it was just a little shaky here. But this save is great. He has two or three more later in this game that are absolutely spectacular that just still kept us alive because the man continues to stand on his head every single game. And he's got fire too. I need to see some passion out of other guys than fucking Stuver when he makes a huge save because you guys fucked up. And Biru. Those are the guys who are bringing it night in and night out with the emotional level of just yes, come on, we're soccer players. Let's go do this. Yeah.
When things do kind of slow down to end the half here, you get the first yellow card of the match to Denke in the 35th for a foul on Svatak. And Alexander was down for a while, and the subs get up, but he ends up staying on, luckily. And then on the other side, Miazga goes down, I think, hamstring there. So Teenage Hadebi comes in, the former Dynamo center back. And then in the 4th minute of stoppage, man, Austin almost steals one. And this is what Jean does so well. Yeah. And maybe the only reason that he's still on this fucking team is that left foot is fucking magic, dude. Yep. And that ball takes a one hop through the area. Again, if he's aiming for Brandon here, then it's off. But it takes the one hop, and Johnny's crashing the box. And I think you have to give a lot of credit to Lucas Engel here for the touch he puts out to put this out for a corner, because this is classic John Gallagher goal from the right back position. Crashing in, just full brute force, smash it in off that cross from the left. Sometimes you got to credit the defense, and that's what I'm doing right here.
Yeah, no, this was a goal-saving play by, who was it, Engel?
Engel.
It's a goal-saving play. There's no other way to save it because absolutely Johnny was going to smash that into the back of the net for us, and we would have felt absolutely fantastic about ourselves. But again, to encapsulate the entire half here, some glaring mistakes. You have the guys on Cincinnati who are paid to score goals, and you have the guys on Austin who are paid to score goals, not score goals. You're down 1-0 to a much better team. But I thought we were right there. And I do like the response that I saw. And I'm going to go into my little diatribe rant about the El Paso game after we wrap up the summary here. But you were right there. You were right there. And I will again give you credit for that.
Yeah. Well, and no changes for either side coming out of the half. But on Austin's first possession, You're dangerous once again on your first possession.
Yep.
Owen plays Gallagher down the right side, and Gallagher another first-time cross that very clearly pings off the arm of Hadebe on the edge of the box. And Tori Penso points right to the spot. And I think on the review, right, because they go like, this one is very, very close. And I think the way that this was called on the field, no matter which way Penso called it, would stand. I think it's too tough to tell either way if he was actually in the box or not. It is inches, maybe less there. But like Vasquez steps up, sends Celentano the wrong way, buries it. I don't think there was actually much difference between the attempt. He took it on the opposite side. But like he didn't smash that thing in. No. But it's his third goal now against his former team. He has scored in all 3 games at TQL since leaving Cincinnati. And look, man, we're level. And now we're like, okay, like, again, you can go try to steal this one and get all 3, but especially by the time we get to the defensive subs, like I'm all in on flipping the switch to bunker and try to get a result here, because we not only predicted losses, but it was like, this is scheduled loss. Like this is one that like, and again, I think when we get to the end of this match, I feel fine with the loss. I don't like it. I'm disappointed, but I expected less than what we got. So that is a positive even in the loss.
Yeah, for sure. And man, it's just like we knew this was going to be a huge challenge, and we were up for it. I didn't think the PK was great, that's for sure. But much better than what he did the first time. So we'll take that. And it's 1-1. You're right here. They got to press a little bit now because they don't want to drop this game to us with them competing for the supporter shield. They're undefeated at home. No one's beating them at home. And it's just like we knew that they were going to have a response to us getting this goal here. And I thought that we were able to stay level-headed. I thought the substitutions were bad. I thought they were poor. I thought they were mistimed. I thought you missed your windows to one way or another say, okay, we're dropping it back, or we're going to go for it a little bit here. And like, we're having a conversation with me, you, and Debo talking about like, do you go for this game? And I was totally fine with being like, no, park this bus. Let's get out of here with a point. This will be a huge point, a big confidence boost for this team to be able to do that. And my brother's like, but no, you go for it here. Like you got to go for it. And I was just like, with the game and the schedule, how it's set up, and having Atlanta come home or come to the Q on Wednesday here, that's where you butter your bread. You got to get 3 points at home. And I just thought that the timing of the subs was curious. I thought that the players that we brought in were curious. And I don't know what's going on with Bukari, man, but I think something is up. I think something's – he played – I got him pulled up right here. He played only 9 minutes last night. He got, 30-something in the El Paso game?
45. He came
45. He came in the half, and then he only got 30-something in the Minnesota game. So he was ready to go, and we knew that team didn't have to play in the U.S. Open Cup, so they were completely rested. And I don't care if you're being offensive or defensive in the substitution patterns that you're about to make. Bukari's the first guy off the bench, period. It doesn't matter if it's offensive or we're going for it or we're going to push it back. He's the first guy off the bench, period. And for him to only get 9 minutes last night, dude, is concerning. Yeah. And I just don't know why he is the guy with the shortest leash out of all of these players who are underperforming like mad right now. And I thought it was a mistake by Nico, the way he substituted these players in.
Well, I do want to come back to the Buka conversation. And before we get to the subs, right, 10 minutes after the goal, Cincy kind of back on the front foot here, probing in and around the penalty area. And Orejano, I mean, his left, like, you talk about Denke and Musa, like, the left foot on Orejano is like, he has the rest of the package that I think Kolmanic is missing, right? Yeah. And so great ball in with the left to the head of Denke, who heads it right back where it came from to that near post. And Stuver, holy God, what a great save here. Completely diving to his left. Again, preserving the result at the time.
Yep, and keeping us alive as he has done time in and time out, and will continue to do, because the man's absolutely fantastic. He deserves better.
So the fact that 68th minute, dude, since he makes subs before we do.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
I don't get it. I know we're missing 3 guys that are like big time players for us, or at least we
Mm-hmm.
envision Bobby Taylor to be a very big piece, integral piece to this team going forward this season.
Mm-hmm.
But Anunga and Valenzuela come in for Kubo and Santos. 69th minute yellow card to Sabovic for shoving Buka, and then maybe a little step on his foot there too, which I think my least favorite comment. Like, these commentators, they get Biru's name right, but so only so far. Guillermo Biru did come out at one point, but like, they're calling for a review for a red here on Sabovic. I'm like, come on, man. They got it out for our boys. 73rd, we finally get a double change for Austin. And it's CJ and Dubrsarski for BV and Ilya. And I totally get BV and Ilya going to the bench, especially BV after he's been the guy that just doesn't come out really in that front line.
Yep.
And I get CJ, man, because that's more of a like for like than putting Buka in for Brandon, because he's a fast, but both of them are fast, but target man, right? He profiles more of that striker up top next to Mirto. But again, we'll have the other subs here in a moment. 76. So right after these subs, since he's knocking on the door, since the subs, really, the last few minutes, including that, which I didn't have in the notes, dude, but that take that Evander had on the end line where he just like goes right through Owen and then right through Svatok and puts the ball to the perfect spot, and like Denke had made his run to the near post because he didn't think that he was going to get through all that. It's just like, Jesus Christ, this guy is fucking inevitable. So in this moment in the 76th, Engel finds Evander. He's got a ton of space to work with inside the 18, and Svatok and Owen start to close down. He floats this dude outside of his boot and maybe like an inch or two over where Biru just can't get his head to it. And Valenzuela runs onto it, dunks it home. There's nothing Brad can do about that one if Valenzuela connects as he did, squarely. And look, I know there's a left back out there that's not doing much, so I'll take it away.
Yeah, I do. I mean, like you said, we watch these games at least twice. I watched this clip of Komanich on this defensive possession 5 times just to try to find a nugget. Oh, you didn't see that guy. Oh, you talked to Biru and you got sucked in. He's doing nothing. He's jogging back on defense. I kept butchering this dude's name. Valenzuela.
Yeah.
He sees him. He acknowledges his presence on the back post and then just floats inward while he's still jogging. And this is a fantastic ball. It's a 10-10 ball. I understand that. Like, I wouldn't have anticipated this floating, but like, you still have to do your job. You have to mark. We had 3 guys there in the center, very, very compact, very tight. It was Biru, BHI, and Svatek are all right in that zone, and he does nothing here. Nothing. Yeah. And again, like you said, if somebody can show me the defensive plays from Komanich that stand out in a positive way, I'd love to see.
Like, put a reel together, not just 2 or 3. Yeah, exactly. Over fucking 5 years.
We can make a reel of really bad ones, and this is right up there, and it's just inexcusable, man. And now you're fucked. And I
also think Biru, dude, Biru could also not be backpedaling and trying to just get skim it with his head. Like, he could go and try to mark that back post, I think, as well. But that doesn't excuse they both can do better here, and Komanich is the one that stands out more because Biru is in position to try to make the play. Komanich is nowhere.
And that back 5, they did struggle with their spacing on the defensive side, and I know that we were trying to muck things up for Cincinnati and get some deflected shots and everything, but we were not in a good formation when it was time to be in a good formation, because that's not Biru's fucking position. He's not. He's not a center back who plays that. He wants to get out and go too. And to have that amount of white jerseys in that space and to allow this dude to be a free runner on the backside of the post it's inexcusable. And now you've lost the game. It's gone.
Yeah. So 81st minute, 5 minutes later, you get Buka and Obrian in for Azuni and Sabovic. And so my problem here, because you get Yedlin for Orejano in the 83rd. Then I did 84th. I thought this may have been the worst call of the night, where CJ gets called for a foul that Miles Robinson just jumps on his back. Yeah. I didn't get that one. Didn't change the game, but I was with CJ there, like, what the fuck? Yeah. And 87th, then Rubio finally comes in for Komanich. And I wasn't necessarily calling for Kolmanich in the moment because like he's so bad we got to get him off the field right now.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of on the contrary, it's like, okay, like Kolmanich is the guy that you want whipping these balls in. But if you bring the two speedy wingers in, I think Kolmanich has to go off there. You move to a 4 back then. Biru can still bomb up that left side when we're trying to get an equalizer here. But like, what is Kolmanich going to do over there with Hader or Buka? And Buka started over there floating on the left. Again, stop playing this man on the fucking left. Stop it.
It's mind-boggling. And that's why I also thought, like, when you made the initial subs, and I was fine with CJ too, but like, why can't, if you're taking BV off, why don't you just push Mirtu to the 9 and let Buka come in? And like, again, I do not understand why he is not the scapegoat, but the guy who is under the microscope constantly and getting punished for it. I mean, we talked about it.
Is he a dick? Is he a dick?
I don't think he talks that much. Like, I don't know. I don't know, but like, it is not okay. The fact that he only gets 9 minutes in this game, and now it's too late for him to make an impact, and you're not setting him up for success. And you had a good point before we jumped on here about, say what you will about Wolf and his regime and their tactics and what they did. He put Bukari in plenty of spots to be successful.
Yep.
And it's not happening right now.
Yeah.
In this iteration of this club, we are not setting him up for success. And nobody's lighting the world on fire. Nobody's lighting the world on fire. It's like, okay, well, we can't get you in because so-and-so is so hot right now. And again, I'll go back to my first point about these subs. Even if you're going defensive, you still bring them in, because if they're pulling up to try to get a second goal to win this game at home, you might get a chance to just play him over the top and let him do what he does best, one-on-one situations in space with the jet burners on his fucking cleats.
Yeah, fucking woo-woo. Fucking outlet.
Let's go. Yeah, we're out. So I thought there was some really, really head-scratching coaching errors last night. Saving Kolmanich, like you said, till this 87th minute. Like, what is he doing right now? Like, what's he doing for us? He can't, and he's not going to matriculate the ball up the field with Buka in a little 2-man game like you talked about, but Biru could. And if you're going to put Buka on the left side for whatever, I don't know the reason. I would love an explanation. Why is he the only guy that we have to play out of position? Why?
Yeah. You get 7 minutes of stoppage here. Since he gets a little bit of a fast break here, Denke gets played through. It was a great run, great pass. John Gallagher hustles back, gets a deflection on Denke's effort as he arrives into the area, but that deflection bounces right to fucking Valenzuela, who is super sub for them right now. He's playing really well. But then, dude, to keep, again, we didn't have much on in the stoppage time offensively, but there's still time on the clock to try to sneak an equalizer, and Stuver keeps us alive again. This fucking point-blank save, fantastic. Just keeping that crumb of hope alive for that equalizer. It doesn't come, but again, fucking kudos to Stuver, man. We need 5 or 6 more of those this month.
Yeah, absolutely. He's going to have to keep playing this way. And like, FOT mob ratings are not the end all be all to summarize the entirety of a game. But if you look at it, you get scored on twice and the man's still a 7.8. He would have been the 3rd highest rated player on Cincinnati last night, with a dude who had a fucking incredible goal and an absolutely stunning assist. So it's just like, that can tell you the impact that he has. And way to go on first Stuver to respond after the Minnesota game. You have, and that was sitting with him because he didn't get the El Paso start, because my last showing was not very good. He comes out last night and was just absolutely fantastic, standing on his head. And like you said, keeping the door just a little bit open for us. You still could have done it, and again, he's amped up, and like, he's like, why is that the fire always? Like that. Why is it coming just from him?
44% possession for Austin on the night. 17 shots to 11 in favor of Cincy. 7 on target to 2 for the home team. 11 corner kicks to 1 in favor of Cincy. But 3 big chances created for Austin, 2 missed. So I guess they count penalty kicks as a big chance there on FOTMob's model. And on their model, XG-wise, 1.97 for Austin, 2.03 for Cincinnati, but expected goals on target tells a much better story, in my opinion. 2.84 for Cincy and 0.7 for Austin. Looking at the MLS stats, so right, the ASA XG here is actually 2.14 for Austin to 1.58 for Cincy. So again, man, the chances were there. Even take out the 0.79 or whatever you get for the PK, like the chances were there, especially for Brandon Vasquez. And again, we have to see better, or we have to see more consistency. You can miss chances like this.
Of course.
Again, the expected numbers aren't 100%.
No.
Right? But like, we went through the numbers earlier on the ASA charts, right? 9% expected for the average shots. We haven't had one.
Yeah. No, it's crazy. And like I said, nobody wants 100% conversion rate. It's impossible. It doesn't happen.
Yeah.
But like just the fact that we can't even get rebounds. We can't even make a keeper make a tough save because the shots are just not on the frame. They're just not on net. And like, it's just and like that stuff is so frustrating when you're struggling. And it just compounds and it feels like you're never going to see the light of day. And like, again, you played this team tough. You played a better team, a healthier team, a more well-rested team tough. And we had opportunities to secure a point in this game, or potentially, something crazy happens. And I think that why we've been so stressed out about the performance and the way that this team has looked is because losing games like this happens and you can excuse it. But the Minnesota performance, no. The El Paso performance, no. The Vancouver performance, no. And now this has become a running theme. And like, we're on a 3-game MLS losing streak right now, and your only win is against the god-awful LA Galaxy, who I will say I am taking a bunch of solace in their suffering. I have enjoyed that very, very much.
Yeah.
But you fucked yourself with what you did versus El Paso Locomotive. You screwed yourself because Brandon Vasquez should have been in that game and we're whipping balls in at the end and have plenty of opportunities. And I know CJ's solid in the air, but we haven't seen it at the MLS level. And he's not the level of Brandon Vasquez. Mirtu would have been in this game, but you had to play him 90+ versus a JV team just to get in a miraculous comeback win. We had to bring Owen Wolf in, who has been running ragged for this team, just doing everything we needed him in the midfield. And those guys are tired. And you shot yourself in the foot with the way you came out versus El Paso Locomotive, and you embarrassed yourself. And that validated my boos because you guys could have been ready to go last night, feeling way better about yourself and with some fresher legs versus a team we knew didn't have to play a midweek game in the Open Cup. So you screwed yourself and you pay for it. And like I said, I am satisfied with how we looked out there. We looked like we belonged. Yeah. But when you're in this type of stretch and everything, man, you have a matchup like you had versus El Paso, and we run out 8 of our routine starters basically in that game, 7, something like that, while other teams are playing 15-year-olds for 120 fucking minutes. We're playing our guys, and like you screwed yourself in that El Paso game because you weren't ready to go. You didn't understand the moment, and now you got to play again Wednesday. And like, if Bukari does not start, I might run on the field. I don't know what else to say. If he does not start this game versus Atlanta, then yes, there's a fire that someone is keeping contained in that locker room and not letting people know about.
Yeah. And again, it could be personal stuff that he's going through. We don't know about that, but something. I 100% agree. If he does not start and play the majority of the fucking game.
Yeah.
Like, you got to be able to, and I want to know, I would love to know what is Roto thinking about this? Because I still am operating under the assumption that most everything that happens is like maybe not okayed by Roto, but like we know he's in the fucking loop. He knows what's going on with these guys, what's going on with the coaching staff. Like, I want to know what he thinks that the fucking DPs aren't working out and that Buka can't get on the fucking field right now.
That's crazy.
And it's inexplicable. And like you said earlier, stop playing this man on the fucking left.
For the love of God.
It's so obvious to the eye test that when you put him on the right, he does good things, right? Neither of us will sit here and say that the guy has exhibited the best decision-making in the final third. Of course not. If he had, we'd have a lot more goals. But the guy creates chances. The guy gets into dangerous positions. He is the most athletically impressive winger that we've had.
Yep.
No question. Hands down. Let him run. And it does not make sense that he wasn't put into the game earlier last night. Like you said, even while it's still 1-1, to go and use the abilities. This is one of the most, again, on paper, clearly we're missing something. Clearly we're missing something because on paper, having this guy play 9 minutes in a match after, like you recited, the minutes totals from the last week or two, it makes no sense.
None. And like we said, BV's running. He's not performing either. You got this cheap fucking PK in this game. Okay, 3 goals. Mirtu struggling just as bad. As Buka is struggling just as bad. None of those guys are playing up to the level that we need them to play up to, and none of those guys are performing that we know they can. We've seen it from everywhere they've been. Every stop they've had, they've been it, and now none of them. And it makes no sense. And Buka already doesn't seem like a very boisterous kind of, the personalities between Azuni and Bukari are night and day. But you can see it on his face when they put him on the left side of the field. And he's just like, why?
He's not having fun. That's for sure.
He is not having a good time. And it is inexcusable. He only played 9 minutes last night. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, like I said earlier, man, everybody's baking the blame pie right now.
Yep.
Right? I'm pretty sure that one of you guys flashed me the Reddit thread, right? Top of the thing. Nico out. I think it might have been posted before the game was over. And of course, people, that's not the first time we've seen people start to call for this coach. And like I said, this time last week, I was like, El Paso, if you don't win that game and you got dangerously close to losing, it's so many places in the world and in this league, you get canned after that. So I don't want to fire the coach. I think it's 13 games now total. In the context of the MLS season, 12 matches in, it is time to start seeing positive results, and you're not right now. But 13 games, no matter what sport you're playing with, basically a new roster over the last 7 months, whatever. Yes, these guys still need time, even if they were playing as well as they had at the beginning of the season, and you're eking out those 1-0 wins, and you've still got a very staunch defense that hasn't taken this lengthy downturn now. You would still be expecting to see more as we went throughout the season. So but we're at the point, like you said earlier, I believe, is you kind of just have to, now you're just hoping that it gets better because there's nothing else you can do. And the question marks start to build more and more questions after each game over the last 6 weeks or so, right? With few answers. The questions are stacking up, and we're only getting answers to 1 or 2 things a week, and they're not always good fucking answers.
Yep. And I mean,
I'm baffled by Bukari. I don't know what to make of that.
I don't understand it either. And you can struggle performance-wise. You can struggle with these goals and stuff where they're not coming and you're not putting good shots on frame. But we're also struggling with the continuity aspect where it's yes, this is a relatively new club together, but still, we thought the identity of this team was defense, defense, defense. We thought that was it. Before we had our DPs are going to score 30 goals combined this season, and the identity is just not there. And I think it showed up with how Nico subbed last night, his inability to move us out of the 5-back once we went down a second goal faster with an appropriate response. So that to me is I don't know. The head coach doesn't know who we are right now. And I know that all gets piled on and way more compounded when you're losing and things are not going well. And we have these episodes where it's we have to rehash all of this stuff, and it's difficult because you have usually the one game a week, and you get to go get everything out in that situation. But there has to be somebody stepping up, and Ilya, I think he's a great leader, but he's clearly not who he was. He's a step slow. We got to have somebody else who's performing, who also has a voice where it's yes, come on, boys, behind me, let's go forward.
I think just finishing off, right, with the blame pie in the oven, for me, the plan right now is equal slices for sporting director, for coaching staff, and for players. None of it is working right now. to what we expected as fans, and certainly to what you guys expected in house.
Yeah,
you guys didn't think it was going to look like this. No way. No fucking way. So again, that pie is going to evolve here throughout May. You got anything else on this one, E, before we just turn our attention to Atlanta? And a very winnable game at home, where you have to win your home games in this league. And there are some home games coming up that we're not going to be favored in.
Yeah, no, you got to win on Wednesday.
So the Five Stripes, E, as they're known in Atlanta, coming to town for the first time. We have only faced off against Atlanta once in our club's history. And what do you know? It was back in the magical 2022 season, E. And look, this match, I won't say had it all, but it came damn close, man. First of all, like, this is in the midst of what I believe was our longest unbeaten streak, was of 7 matches. This was part of the second 4-game win streak in that season, right? Tying the club record. But because of that condensed summer schedule that year, we had some significant rotation in this match, to the tune of like Felipe starting for Seba. And like, I think Felipe started like no more than 3 matches. It might have been 2. I know he played against Charlotte, because that's the one where he like fouled the dude 3 seconds in. And then this one, where Danny Hosen started at the 9, which did not happen a lot either. And Felipe scores his only Austin FC goal to open the scoring in this one, which ended up being a 3-0 rout for Austin. Finley scores off of a Caleb Wiley, Ethan Finley, that is, off of a Caleb Wiley mistake in front of net like 10 minutes later. And then you bring Seba on in the second half. And I don't know if you recall this goal or not, E, but Maxi puts a shot off the crossbar with a ton of power, and it bounces right to the foot of Seba, who just like rolls it in. And I think that was his 11th goal in the season at that point. But like it can't go much better for us this Wednesday than it did the first time we played these guys, and that was on the road 3 years ago. So I don't know, man. You're bringing up all kinds of like memories that make you smile from reliving the highlights of this one.
Well, look, man, like we talked about before jumping on, maybe we should just recap the first Cincinnati matchup that we had where we won 5-0. Yeah. It would have been nice to do that for this Atlanta game as well, but c'est la vie, we press on.
Let's do our own version of like the rewatchables from the Ringer, right? We're going back through old Austin FC games because the current ones are just too depressing. But back to, let's get through this Atlanta here, right? It's the first time we've seen them this season. Of course, an Eastern Conference team, the only time we're going to see them. They were founded in 2014, didn't begin MLS play until 3 years later in 2017. This is one thing, we weren't even doing the North End. We were about a month and a half away from our first episode the first time these teams played. But Arthur Blank, man, like, again, co-founder of Home Depot. The thing that I know Arthur Blank for is cheap, affordable concessions. And like, again, as a team owner, like, I'm probably not going to agree with everything that you've done in your life or are doing, but like to make it affordable for families, for people like us, like, again, I have admiration for that for sure in that Mercedes-Benz stadium there. And their success as an expansion franchise, man, probably only rivaled by LAFC, because in that 2017 season, they finished 4th in the Shield standings, 55 points. They did get knocked out in round 1, but then next year, second year in existence, very nice 69 points, which was somehow not first in the East. They were behind the Red Bulls that year, who had 71. But they did win the MLS Cup. That was Joseph Martinez, I believe, MVP season, 31 league goals, added 4 more in the playoffs. And Miguel Almiron, right, who is now back for his second stint with the Five Stripes. He had 12 goals and 13 assists that season, kind of the Fagundes-esque in 2022 there. Yep. And the next year, defending the title, 3rd in the Shield standings, ended up getting bounced in the conference finals, but, won the Open Cup, right? So this team, their first 3 years, just flying out of the gates. And since then, it's been mostly down, especially for the expectations that this club and their fan base, where the bar got set after those first 3 years, man, headed into the pandemic. Like, they've only been past the first round of the playoffs once since 2019, and that was last year, upsetting fucking Messi and Inter Miami in the best of 3 series, which is insane. And because they had less points than us last year, dude.
Yeah.
And they advanced past Inter Miami in the postseason. So like that, plus their offseason moves, it wasn't just their fans that had all the hope in the world, all the expectations in the world, back to the glory days of Atlanta United. Because between the summer window last year, like, you think we bandy around, and all the pundits do, rightfully so, that Austin has spent around $30 million since the last summer's transfer window. Atlanta was the team that outspent us, dude. $40 million for Moranchuk and Almiron and Latte Lath, right? So last summer, Alexei Moranchuk was the DP they brought in, and then they spend 10 to bring back Miguel Almiron from Newcastle United, who's been in the Premier League for like 5 or 6 years after they sold him over there initially. And then they break, right? We just talked about Kevin Denke last episode and how for 2 weeks he was the MLS inbound transfer fee record. Latte Lath was the one that beat him out. North of 22 million for Emmanuel Latte Lath. This team, like, as we pull up the roster profile for those on the YouTube, 3-3 build. 2 of those U22 slots are open. So similar to Austin. Again, the similarities continue, but they have kind of secret, I guess, unless you know where to look, 4th DP on this roster. Mateusz Klich is, or I think it's Click, still a DP for DC United because they are paying like 90% of his salary, and they traded him to Atlanta this year. I don't know what the point of that is for DC. I don't remember what the rationale was there. I'm pretty sure, I imagine their fans feel the same and probably a little bit more angry about that, but like, it's insane. And I just I don't get it. So we're playing this team that has 4 DPs coming in. You can see as well that they've got 7 TAM players on their roster. And like, kind of jumping back to Austin for a second, I don't want to be like, just wait till the summer here, right, in fucking 2025. But like, our roster too, we think we have a lot of TAM to bring in some very talented additions in the 2 senior spots that we have with 2 international slots. And you could splash some cash and get a very expensive U22 from somewhere. So like, there are, still additions that Roto can, and you assume will make later this season to the roster. But with Atlanta, 4 DPs, Edwin Mosquera, the U22, really playing a backup role as a forward there. Similar to Austin, man. And again, like, I would rather be us right now because with those expectations I mentioned, dude, 2/3 of the MLS pundits that do their predictions at the beginning of the season, we know that those are frequently very, very wrong, where things, shake out at the end of the season. But just to underscore how high the expectations were, 2/3 of those pundits predicted them 1st or 2nd in the East. They are, as we pull up the standings here, 14th.
14th. only ahead of Montreal, who is historically bad. No, it's crazy, coming up to this season, like, we're, getting excited about everything being back, and you're hearing about all these guys that Atlanta has, and then they come out and they beat the brakes off Montreal right first week, and then had that little like stretch where they didn't look good, but still in the back of my mind, I was just like, oh yeah, they're too good to not turn this thing around. And not only have they not turned it around, it has gotten visibly worse. And like, I don't know, and all the things that is going on with this team, but like, this is the definition of a team that you look at on paper and you're just like, damn, that's a good team. And then it is not translating for them at all. And look, this is going to be 2 desperate teams in Austin and Atlanta for a win. Like, they know they got to turn something around. They know that you can get right at the Q if you're struggling. And like, we also have to win this game, given the schedule looking forward. Now we had we're only 3 points out of 2nd. Well, you're 6 points out of 2nd now, and you're only 3 points out of 11th. So that gap is widening, and not in a good way for this team. So I think you're going to see 2 desperate clubs trying to get 3 points here on Wednesday.
Yeah, and so they also had a new coach, right? So similarities continue. Ronnie Dalia, he was mentioned in the Austin coaching vacancy as a potential candidate, and like I was just looking at the results. I'm glad we went Nico's direction, at least just comparing these two sides, because Atlanta has one win since opening day. Their opening day win was 3-2 against Montreal, who you mentioned, right? I think they still have 6 goals. They scored 2 on Atlanta, dude. And they beat NYCFC at home 4-3 on March 29th. And since then, dude, just like from April 12th on, right? New England, who I don't think had scored an open play goal at that point, they drop a home match to New England. Then they get blanked 3-0 at Philadelphia, 3-0 at Orlando. They draw Nashville 1-1 at home, and then they lose in the final 5 minutes yesterday on the road at Chicago. Just 10 points from their 12 matches, like 13 goals for, which is, we would take 13 right now, but 22 conceded. This is a team with, unsurprisingly, right, with those the high-powered attack that they have. They want to play a very direct, like, line-breaking style, right? Get the ball to these guys, the most expensive attack in the league. But it's just not, it's not coming off. Similar for them, compared to Austin. Like, Latte Lath had 5 goals, I think, in the first 5 or 6 matches and has just been shut out since then. Dude, he got suspended on accumulation like 7 or 8 games into the season, man. Like,
holy shit.
They are also not having a fun time, having a worse time than us right now. And I think that we will see them rotate, because, like, you go into the box score last night, or yesterday afternoon rather, against Chicago, and you take a look at, like, they start all 4 of their DPs. Latte Lath, Almiron, Moranchuk play the full 90. Stein Gregerson, who's one of their TAM center backs, like probably the most, on paper, their most talented center back, he's been out. I think he's probably questionable at best for Wednesday. Pedro Amador was out last night. He's probably questionable at best to suit up against their left back, to suit up against Austin on Wednesday. Like, I think we could see some potential rotation here, because you go back to the schedule list, dude, like, they've been on the road 4 of their last 5. They have 3 straight home matches coming up, not against easy competition, because, again, the East is fucking tough, and Atlanta's looking up at everybody but Montreal. But I just really hope that we can, again, catch, like, that we're not the get-right spot. And we should not be against this team at home. Both teams on short rest here. And there's just no way that our mood in our locker room is worse than what they're working with right now over there. I just hope that this ends up being for them like an exhaustion spot. We're about to be back home right on Saturday. They don't have the Open Cup match the week week after this one. God, dude, this is it has to be a win, because you think about the home matches. I feel like looking forward for us, right, through the rest of this month of May, and I know we've been over the schedule multiple times. We're going to keep talking about the schedule because it's so fast-paced here. If you win the Wednesday matches the rest of this month, I'm fine with that, because that means you beat Atlanta, you beat RSL, 2 teams you should beat at home. As long as you're competitive against Vancouver at home, and I don't know how I'm going to feel about that one coming into next Saturday. Road Minnesota, and then road San Diego. San Diego's keeps on keeping on, man. So like, if you can get the 6 points from the 5 remaining matches, then the sky is not falling. And if you win that 3rd Wednesday match, that means you have moved on in the Open Cup, and you beat Houston, which out of any match, the rest, like, if we're going down, man, fuck the league. Win the Open Cup. At least get out of this fucking round. Get Houston back at home. And then, at least, if this continues to fucking go downhill in the league, at least then you have until the first week of July to be like, at least we got the Open Cup.
Yeah, at least we're still gunning for that. I'm right there with you. Again, like, we wanted to go easy on the must-win lever starting this season out, but I got to pull it again here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, because this is a team that is really, really struggling. You have to be able to win games at home. And I think after that disappointment from the Cincinnati game here, that we're going to see a bit of a revitalized effort being back home. I hope the fans are showing out. I hope we're going to have some good support there. I think we will. And like this team needs us right now as fans to be there, supporting, ready to go because they need it. They know they're struggling. It's going to be tough, man, because like I said, this team can definitely – they have the talent. Like it has not come together. We also have the talent and it's not come together. And I just would disaster situation. They find it and start clicking versus us. And like, that is not what I want to see, but they're a good team that you have to, I mean, not a good team on paper. Their team still have to respect and go out there and get the job done. So, I just don't know where we're at mentally, really. I just don't know the space we're at. Like I said on the El Paso recap, I don't think that locker room was like overly happy about that performance. Like, yes, you got the 3 points. We gave you credit for it, but everyone there knew that wasn't our best game.
It was probably relief more than anything.
Yeah, exactly. And then, to have this Cincinnati game and hear the words from Johnny, and I'm assuming that is being echoed quite a bit throughout the locker room, it was disappointing. So you have another opportunity here and in a very, very winnable game, and it's at your place, and you got to handle business.
Well, you pulled the lever, so how much is Austin FC winning by on Wednesday? And again, fucking heat advisory, man. God damn.
Oh, shit, yeah.
105 is the high on Wednesday, it appears. I think it'll be mid-90s, hopefully, at kickoff at 7:30. But, again, into the fire here in the summer. And I'm worried about Besard Savovic.
I'm worried about Savovic and Svatok. I'm worried about both of those guys in this matchup. But, like, again, we don't really have the bullets to change these guys out. Like, you could see Julio for Svatok for sure. But, like, we know that they struggle in the heat. And this is going to be a very, very hot one here. I mean, I do want to talk a little lineup. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think we're going to be in that 5-back again for this matchup. The number one thing is Bukhari.
Yeah,
he has to
start him.
He has to fucking start. I don't understand. I would like to see that 4-3-3 that we've seen in the past with all three the DPs up front, because we have to keep trying it. Like at the end of the day, yes, these dudes are not producing, they're not performing at the level they need to, but I still want to keep putting them out there because like that we eventually at some point in time you have to assume that the talent will just take over at some point. So I got to see Buka. Brandon got subbed off that game, but like still he's going to have to give us at least, I mean, he might have to go the full 90 in my opinion.
I mean, coach said those guys have been recovering well, and you get the extra day here going Saturday to Wednesday rather than Wednesday to Saturday. So I fully expect Brandon and Mirtu to be ready to go. Mm-hmm. And maybe we see some more rotation, like more conservative at the outset against Vancouver next Saturday and try to hold it down and then get a result in the second half. Again, getting a little far ahead of ourselves there. DP3 up front, Owen behind him.
Yep.
What are you going to – Sabo, Duber, Ilie? I'm fine with any – like those are our options, right? And, I think you're going to see Duber no matter what, because I don't think Ilie can go 90 in the middle of this month. Mm-hmm. But we shall see. Again, I don't expect many surprises in this lineup. I would just be surprised, again, if Buka is not in the lineup. Again, we just need – somebody ask this man what is going on. Whether it's Buka, whether it's Nico, whether it's Roto. Fucking goddamn.
Need some clarification on it for sure. And those are our options at midfield. I don't feel particularly great about that because those three guys are pretty similar. Duber, Ilie, and Sabo, all more defensive players and everything like that. But this team is going to be coming up and down. They're going to be getting after it. And I hope you're right about their rotation. So we'll see. I'm going to go ahead and put 2-1 Austin on the board.
Bastard. I also have a 2-1. I ain't predicting a clean sheet right now. But so you got to get multiple goals to get a fucking win here. So that's a pretty simple equation to get to 2-1.
And look, if there was a spot like we talked about potentially get right for them, if there's a spot to get right on a defense, it's this defense, because this defense is not good. We talked about the 4 DPs, which was amazing, but like the defense is just not where it needs to be for an MLS caliber team that's like good. So you will get these chances again. And I hope we're able to finish.
Come on down to Farmer Field where the champions play. Get ready for the game. It's Las Vegas.
Last business day here on episode 223 of the North End Podcast. Like we mentioned earlier, second team headed out to Ventura County, taking on Ventura County FC. Of course, that is the Galaxy's Next Pro affiliate here. And wouldn't you know it, Ventura County just in first place here in the Western Conference of MLS Next Pro. They've got 18 goals to the 15 they've conceded. And I will note, they're first in the table. Points per game would be Tacoma, who's currently in third with 2 games in hand on 15 points. Ventura's schedule has been pretty friendly to this point of the season. They have had 6 of their 9 league games at home. They actually did advance through one round of the U.S. Open Cup, taking on Laguna United, who I imagine is, semi-pro / amateur side there, 7-0. A lot of 7-0s there in the Galaxy universe over the last couple weeks. Before they actually lost in the second round to El Paso Locomotive, 3-0. So if El Paso put up 3 on them and 2 on us, I don't know what that says about Austin FC, but it ain't great.
Nope.
They're led in scoring by number 78, Luis Muller, who you will remember as an LAFC supplemental player. Mm-hmm. I believe last season, maybe 2 seasons, but he's got 4 goals and 2 assists in the league. He also had a goal and 3 assists in their win in the first round of the Open Cup over Laguna United. Again, was with LAFC last year, not re-signed after his contract expired, and caught on this spring with Ventura across town. 2 other homegrowns to keep an eye on here outside of number 78, Muller. Number 24, Ruben Ramos Jr. is a forward for them. He's played only 5 games. This is a guy who is bouncing between the first team and the second team. 3 goals and an assist in his 5 appearances. Then number 26, defender Harbor Miller, also one of the key players here for Ventura. And then, we love to remember some guys, as Trevor would put it. So if you remember, Brady Scott, one-time Austin FC goalkeeper, first teamer in 2021. He is on a supplemental slot right now for the Galaxy as their third string, but has played every minute so far this season for Ventura. So you talk about us here. Again, we got the 2 points against Sporting. Had to get something off the team that is last place in the Western Conference. So now you turn around and you have an opportunity at the team at the top. We also have 2 games in hand on them. So again, maybe how the standings look right now is not fully indicative of where this team is at, but I think it's pretty darn close from what we've seen after the first half of the opening game. But you certainly have an opportunity here to go and kind of shake up the standings here, the hierarchy in the Western Conference a little bit. And man, what I want to see out of this is we pull up the lineup from that Sporting match. Where's Micah? One thing I was talking about on last episode was, being concerned with him, not really securing a spot as a mainstay in this attack for the second team. Now, I also remembered as I was, walking around through my normal day-to-day and, of course, thinking about our favorite team, that Micah, I think about a month ago, did sit out a match with a knock. He was actually on the first team's injury report that weekend. So maybe I'm not being totally fair to the man. If he's working his way back from an injury that was significant enough to put him on that first team injury report, maybe he's just getting back into full fitness. But I want to see him out there, man. Our supplemental first team guys, you got to play every game. Every game.
I'm right there with you. And we need him. We need him to be the player that he has been in the past for this team, because we're stop me if you've heard this before. We can't score goals even at the next pro level. We have the least amount of the goals in the league with 6. So that is not great. And again, with no Micah in there, I've liked what I've seen out of Alstue, who's been solid, but still we're struggling to score. And this team is not going to be the get right spot, in my opinion. And again, a team that's looking for an identity. We've talked about this with this team as well for a long time. And the 2 games in hand are definitely nice, but you got to start moving this thing in the right direction as well, because we saw the flurry last year where you tried to get back and you dug too big of a hole. So an opportunity for sure. I think I think that the Charlie in the net.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be a bit of a slight upgrade. And not that I thought Alship was playing poorly or that like he was like the reason that this team has not found their footing yet this year, but like I think that's a nice little positive sign in the right direction. The game that he had and the ability to go ahead and get that extra point in PKs for us.
Yeah, absolutely. Jacobaro looked good as well, I thought, in his first start. So again, these guys are also they have played like half the games that the first team has, and they had even more turnover, I believe, up and down the roster. So, but dude, fuck, the least amount of goals in the league, 4 of the 6 came in the first 32 minutes of the season. We have scored 2 goals in the last 688 minutes. Yeah. Like you have an identity right now as the second team, and it's can't score. Like we are aligned as a club.
Yes.
I don't know what the fuck the U13s and 14s think they're doing, scoring 18 goals last week, but you guys got to cut that shit out.
Save some for the rest of us, please. Yeah, it's a struggle, man. It's been tough for this team.
That said, Tuesday night, we're well rested, E.
Okay.
Fucking why not? Give me a 2-1. Give me 2-1 Austin FC 2 on the road at Ventura. Fuck the Galaxy.
Word. Okay. Well, I can get behind that for sure.
I knew that would turn you around.
But I'm not going to predict a win here, man. I don't know. Like I said, the Micah thing is a question. I'm worried about it as well because, like you said, I want him to be getting those reps, want him to be getting that time with the team and everything. But I'm going to go ahead and say 2-1 Ventura County here.
Sure. Fair. Yeah, if you're just looking at the last almost 700 minutes, I don't think anybody would fault you there. Well, 2-1 victory for me, 2-1 loss for E. Look, we don't care how you get it done, boys. You bring us home a result. And E, that'll close out the episode here today. Still waiting on LAFC in Vancouver tonight from the weekend's games to finalize best ball scoring. We might drop some more points. Like, again, we're sitting there crying about Evander doing us dirty, racking up some points in the best ball league. We'll see how that shakes out. Still got Buanga going tonight for the bets. So we will recap all of that on Thursday's episode, where we will also recap the Atlanta United match for the first team, the Ventura County match for the second team, and talk about everything else in the Austin FC universe that happens between now and then. E, anything else for you before we shut it down?
Look, I'm excited to be there on Wednesday. I am. I'm up for it. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to roll, and I'm looking forward to a result, a positive win for this club, and get a good start to this second half of the May month here.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm with you. So appreciate everybody tuning in, sticking with us here in episode 223 of the North End Podcast. Like I said, we're back on Thursday covering all of that, and we hope you enjoy the beginning of your week, everybody. We will do the same, and we'll see you all at the Q on Wednesday and back here on Thursday for another episode of the North End Podcast. Until then, he is E, and I'm Zach. Vamos Austin FC, everybody. Goodbye.